Why should you think about holding your next business event in Altspace VR? Well, first of all, what a lot of people don't realize is you don't need to have an expensive VR headset, and neither do any of your guests. But you do need good audio headphones for Altspace VR. Then you get an app, Windows or Mac, totally free. You go to a website, you create your event. It can be big, it can be small, public, private, doesn't matter, 100% free. What you get in your virtual event is a 3D audio experience. You have an avatar, your avatar moves around the virtual space, and you hear the things that are close to you in that virtual space. If you walk your avatar away from a conversation, it fades into the background, just like real life. So multiple people can be standing around having that happy hour kind of experience in all these different conversations at the same time. Ready to try making your first event? Here's what you do. Go to altvr.com, click Events, and then click My Events. It will show you anything that you've already created. You can also see your past events. And if you want to copy an existing event, it will show up under Drafts so that you can edit it and then go ahead and make it a scheduled event here. You have a choice between quick events and scheduled events. Quick events fill in some of the things that may take you a little bit longer, like the title and the description, and automatically put a time in. But it can also be a little bit more complicated to navigate because it's going to ask you what kind of event you want to do, and then it's only going to offer templates based on those events. So if there's a specific space that you're looking for, it's going to be faster to do it as a scheduled event. You have this option here, planning a large event, submit a ticket. This is actually clickable. If you click this, it's going to take you to a support page. And if you're doing a really large event, you can let them know what kind of assistance you might need. We'll go ahead and fill in a name. You have to have at least 10 characters in the description or it's going to tell you that it's too short. Then you set your start and end date. You can have a very long time running on these events if you want to have something that's going to be a place you can pop into with a group of people, or you can just set it for shorter periods of time. When people try to enter your event, they won't be able to enter before the event starts unless they have one of the special roles like admin or moderator. If you want people to get in a little bit earlier, then go ahead and set your start time earlier. Also, when your event ends, it won't kick people out, but if they leave the space, they won't be able to come back in. The next thing you have down here are category and event type. If your event is public, then choosing the category is going to let you decide where it's going to show up when people look for events in the app. If you set it as private, then only people who have that link are going to be able to get into your event. Anybody who has the link is going to be able to get in, so it's not really an access control, but it will stop just the general public from seeing your event and popping in. If you're going to do anything business-like, I do recommend setting it as private because sometimes when things are public, you will get the random kid who just got their headset at 13 and is wreaking havoc. If you're going to do public events, it's a good idea to get really good at moderating and to invite some people in to be moderators for the event so they can kick out anybody who is not adhering to whatever code of conduct you've set for your event. But if you set it with private, you probably won't have those kind of issues. You have a bunch of templates over here. Later on, I'll do a separate video that's going to take you on a tour so you can see what all the different spaces are and what you might want to do in them. Whatever template you pick, you can change later. It's okay to just grab something to start with and you can go and check it out. And if you don't like it, you can come back and edit the event. As long as you have 10 characters here, that's really all you need to create your event. But if you'd like to do some extra things, then we have some of the advanced options. The first things up here are the tile and the background image. The tile is going to be the small thing that shows up when people are looking through a big list of events. And then the banner is going to be the big horizontal thing that they see when they go to enter the event. The tile is going to get resized a lot, so don't use a lot of text on it. And what they recommend in doing this one is a 16:9 ratio. If you're going to do things in PowerPoint, 16:9 is actually the default. A good way of doing that is 20 inches by 11.25 inches. That'll give you 1920 by 1080 pixels as they recommend here. I have a tile that I created just by using PowerPoint in the default configuration. So this is my 16:9 tile. If you already have a tile and you want to get rid of it, you can remove it. You can also use the same tile for the background banner image, but it may get resized oddly. Try it. What's the worst that can happen? You go back and add something in later. I have one that I actually created, and the banner should be a 10:3 ratio, or 1920 by 576. And the way to do that in PowerPoint is to create something that is 20 inches by 6 inches. So here's my 10:3 ratio, 20 by 6. You also want to leave the lower quarter of it clear because it's going to use this space where you see this dark band, and that's where it's going to put your title and your tagline. If you've already assigned one, you want to get rid of it, click that to remove it. Then you can put in hashtags, and this is where you can go if you want to search for events. If you want to define everything that is an open mic, if you're going to create an open mic, then go ahead and put that in as your hashtag. We'll just call mine getting started. And you can put in multiple hashtags, you just separate them by commas. Contextual roles mean things that people can do inside of your event. One of them that you can do is megaphone only, and that's going to let everybody basically use the microphone whenever they want to. There's also one called musical performer. That's going to give them better audio quality. So if you're doing an open mic, musical performer would be a really good default contextual role. Pilot lets everybody fly if the world is equipped for flying. Terraformer lets people do the world building. It gives them the extra button to add or remove objects from the world. And you can give multiple roles here, but you would want to separate them by commas. Now, there are going to be some additional roles that you can add, like moderator, but you're not going to be able to do that until after you've already created the event and you go back to edit it. I'm going to leave this blank for now. Then I have instructions, and what you may not realize is that this advanced formatting is actually clickable. You can use a kind of rich text that works very much like HTML. Then this instruction is going to show every time people enter your event. This is a good place to put things like what your code of conduct is if it's short, or tell people what the expectations for the event are. Or if this is a kind of a social event, you could put your icebreaker instructions in here. And then even more advanced in the event section. One of the options it gives you is to assign a group. Now, we said earlier that you could make something private, but anybody could get in as long as they have the link. If you have a group that you are controlling, then that would restrict entry only to the people who are in the group. Under the More tab, you have an option. You can create groups using either username or email, and the account must be active. If you want to set it up using an email, this is a good way to do some kind of an event if you're using Eventbrite or some other place where people have bought tickets. And then as they put their email in, you'll be able to add that for their access. However, they have to use the exact same email. So bsmith@microsoft.com is not the same thing as ben.smith@microsoft.com. Whichever one they use to actually create their Altspace account is the one they're going to have to use here. You can auto import a bunch of names if you've exported them from whatever your ticketing platform is. And then after your groups are created, you'll see them showing up in the possible list here. The tagline is going to show up at the bottom of the banner, where it's also going to show your event title. It's possible to use custom worlds instead of these default templates. It's also possible to take one of these default templates and customize it so that you always have the same customizations available, and then import that into your event. That's a more advanced topic that we'll cover later. You do have an option for YouTube videos if you want to add one. It can't be a channel, it has to be an actual video. All I need is the ID after the equal sign, and then that's going to show up on my event page. It doesn't show up in the event itself, it's just on the page when people go to access the event. If you wanted to give them some kind of a tutorial first and recommend that they watch it, if you want to do any other kind of information about your organization or your event, that's a good way to do it. But it does need to be a YouTube video ID. If you do a Twitter handle, this is also going to show up on the event page as people are on their way into your event. You have a choice here for unlisted. When you go to look at events that are currently running, it will show events that have a lot of people in them while you're in the app. And you may not want people to see a lot of people in your world and pop in because of that. So this would keep it unlisted, and it would also stop it from appearing in those search results. Altspace has the concept of channels to help you find events. So if we come here, you can see that there are a lot of different channels. One of the channels I strongly recommend is Educators in VR. So if I want to find out anything they're doing, I can subscribe, as I already have, to Educators in VR. When Educators in VR creates an event, by default, it would send subscribers a notification so that I would know about it, unless they check this box, in which case I would still get something notifying me one day before the event starts. If you don't have a channel, then this doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and create my event. So here's what my page looks like. Notice I configured a video to show up. This is my video. And I also told it that I wanted the Altspace Twitter handle, so it's going to show those tweets here. You can see my banner image here. This is my longer horizontal image. And you can see people inside. That's the popularity. This is where the tagline shows up. Then I have some options over here as the host of this event. If I'm going to be running the same event multiple times now, I can duplicate it. And that's going to take all of these other settings, like the video, like the Twitter feed. It's also going to do things like copy the default contextual roles, which is super helpful. If I don't want people to see it published anymore, I can set it to draft and I can tweak it and then go back and republish it. If you duplicate an event, it's going to show up under draft until you go in and change the dates, and then it can go ahead and show up as a published event again. They have a concept called main events. And back here on the events tab, you see things listed as main events or all events. There are certain criteria. For example, you have to actually have a custom banner and a tile image, not just using the default ones. There are also some restrictions about content. You can read up on those in their help topics. And it's really just trying to help feature things that where you may want to get more attendance. But you can click that help article or look at the blog post for the details about what's required to have it added as a main event. If it's private, it won't show up in the events list at all. If it's not a main event, then it will just show up under all events. If I want to go back and do some editing here, there are a couple of things that you can only do after the event is created. So one of them is to change contextual roles, and it's actually going to give you some additional roles that you can add in here, like the moderator. When you go to do this, you have to enter the name exactly as it appears in Altspace, and it's possible to add multiple roles to a single user, but you have to add them individually. So it could be both the moderator and the terraformer, and that would let LlamaSox in to be able to do some world customizations. This is especially helpful if you want someone to help configure your space for you before you've learned how to do some of the basics. Another interesting thing is it's possible to block users. Now, when you run an event, you may find, especially if it's a public event, that you've had people come in who are not behaving well. If you block those people, they're automatically going to show up in this list. And when you duplicate your event, it's actually going to include the duplicated list of blocked users, which is really helpful in keeping out people who have been disruptive in the past. We have a few additional advanced options as well. There's my tile, and I could remove it or change it. And there's my banner. Again, I can change it. I can change my hashtags, contextual roles, instructions. Another thing that it adds here, though, is admins. If you want someone to come in and help with the space and have the same rights as you can go ahead and add them in here as an admin user. Everything else is going to be the same, the groups, the taglines, but you notice here the source world that it's taking now is presentation stage, because that is what I picked initially. And then I can update. If you want to share your link, you can click the share button, and it will also just let you copy it from here. But it's exactly the same thing that you see above. If you see an event that you're interested in and the event hasn't started yet, you'll be able to RSVP to it and also download a calendar file. When we're in the app, you can actually see your events listed under Events and My Events. You can also create events in here, but those events are going to have fewer options, like you won't be able to set the banner and the tile image from inside. One last thing to mention is after your event is done, you'll be able to come here and look at your metrics. I had 16 people who joined the event, and the most we had in the event was 5 at any one time. That should be enough information to get you started. Hope you enjoy hosting your own events in Altspace.